Om Sadashiva
Acharya Madhyama
Asmadacharya
Paryantam
Guru
Vande Guru Parampara.
Om Sahana Bhavatu
Bhavatu Sahanau
Sahaviryam
Bhunaktu
Karvavahai
Sahaviryam Karavavahai
Tejasvinavadhitamastu
Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavai.
Shanti
Om
Shanti
Shanti
Shanti.
Shanti.
So we will look at the 14th mantra. We had finished the 13th mantra last time. We will chant. Punascha janmantara karma yoga.
Janmantara karma yoga
Sa eva jiva swapiti prabhuddha.
sa eva jiva swapiti prabuddha
Puratraye kridati yascha jivaha.
Puratraye kridati yascha jivaha
Tatastu jatam sakalam vichitram.
Tatastu jatam sakalam vichitram
Adharam anandam akhanda bodham.
Adharam anandam akhanda bodham
Yasmin layam yati puratrayam cha.
Yasmin layam yati puratrayam cha
So punaha cha. Punascha is punaha cha. Once again. Sa eva jivaha. That very same jiva. With jiva? The jiva of the 13th mantra, whom we refer to. That very same jiva. What does he do? Sapiti. He enters the dream world, or prabuddha. He wakes up. So either he enters the dream world or he wakes up. And what is the reason for this? Janmantara karma yoga, because of the association with past karma. And out of that very same jiva, sakalam vichitram jatam, all these multiple objects, the entire universe is born. Tatahatu, out of that jiva alone, with jiva, yahacha jiva, that jiva, who kridati, who plays, puratraye, who plays in the three worlds of experience. Puratraye is the three worlds, cha, and not only that, the three worlds are not only born out of him, puratrayam layam yati yasmin. These three worlds, they resolve into that jiva also when the pralayam takes place. Very beautiful mantra. In the last verse, that is the mantra number 13, we talked about what? Sushupti avastha. What happens when that jiva goes into Sushupti avastha? Because we said, Sakale viline Sushupti kale. When everything is resolved in the state of Sushupti, what happened to him? Eti Sukha Rupam. He attained the nature of, he became Ananda. He became happy because Tamaha Abhibhutaha. He was overpowered by ignorance. Now, what happens next? That is being talked about, and that is why Punascha, Punahacha, again, because it's a cycle. After Sushupti, he has to wake up. So what happens now? Prabuddha. He wakes up. He comes to Jagrat Avastha, waking state. And we also say, for Jagrat Avastha, we call Mahaswapna, the great dream. So the normal expression we use is either he dreams or he wakes up. The Vedantic terms are Alpaswapna and Mahaswapna. Alpaswapna is the normal sleep for the Jiva. Mahaswapna is the sleep of Ishvara, and therefore the Jagrada Avastha of the Jiva. So Mahaswapna refers to the Jagrada Avastha, and Alpaswapna, the small Swapna, it refers to the dream state of the Jiva. Now, if you are talking about two different dream states, because both are Swapna only, right? So one is Alpaswapna, which belongs to the micro jiva, and one is Mahaswapna, which belongs to the macro Ishvara. Why do you give it two different names? Because there are two important differences between the two dream states, the Alpaswapna and the Mahaswapna, the dream state of the Jiva and the dream state of Ishvara. There are two major differences. What is the first one? In the Alpaswapna, in the dream state of the Jiva, the coming out of that dream state, the waking, is a natural process. Given enough time, it will happen. No effort is required. So to wake up from the Alpaswapna into Jagrad Avastha, I don't have to do any karma yoga, I don't have to do any upasana, I don't have to do any shravanam, I don't have to do any maranam. In my dream, when the dream stops, I will wake up. So it's a natural process coming out of Alpaswapna into Jagrad Avastha, which is also called Mahaswapna. However, in Mahaswapna, the Jagrad Avastha, coming out of that Mahaswapna, the waking out of Mahaswapna, it does not happen naturally. I have to work towards it. I have to deliberately work to understand that the world is mithya and it is basically a major dream. It's a Mahaswapna. Only when I understand that it is a Mahaswapna will I drop the Jagrad Avastha and go to the Paramarthika Avastha. So even though I go into Alpa Swapna, the Jiva dream state, and Sushupti Avastha without any effort, the thing is I will eventually return to Mahaswapna, the Jagrad Avastha, and without any extra effort. But waking up from the Mahaswapna requires an effort. And that is why we saw in Kaivalyopanishad, Uttishta Jagrata Prapya Varan Nibodhata. The Upanishad, Lord Yama, he said, Uttishta, get up, Jagrata, wake up. So it is clear that Shruti is telling us that you are in a dream. The two words, Jagrata, Uttishta, means wake up and arise, get up. So it is very clear that in Kaivalyopanishad, Lord Yama is telling you that you are in a dream and you have to wake up. And in that very same mantra, what is the next word? Prapya Varan. Varan is the teacher, the guru. So Prapya is to attain or to approach. And therefore he says, Lord Yama says, Uttisha Jagrata, but it will not take place normally without any effort. And therefore Prapya Varan, go and approach a teacher who will teach you the Shruti, which will wake you up from this Jagrata Avastha. That is the first difference. What is the first difference? That in Alpa Swapna, there is no effort required for waking up from Alpa Swapna to Jagrata Avastha. But in Mahaswapna, which is otherwise called Jagrata Avastha, there is an effort required. The effort is in terms of studying Vedanta by approaching a Shrotriya Brahmanishta teacher. That is the first difference. What is the second difference? When I wake up from Alpa Swapna, that is the individual dream state, and I enter Jagrata Avastha, which is the Mahaswapna, both Vikshepa Shakti and Avarna Shakti, which were operating in the Alpa Swapna, they both disappear. Right? How do you know they disappear? Because the dream world disappears the moment you wake up. You are aware that you are the waker. You are aware that you are never the dreamer. And therefore, the Avarna Shakti has gone. And the dream world projected by that Avarna Shakti has also disappeared when you wake up. And therefore, Vikshepa Shakti has also gone. So this means that Alpa Swapna ends completely when you wake up into Jagrata Avastha. But when I come out of Mahanidra, how do I come out of Mahanidra? Through the knowledge of Atma. So through Atma Jnanam, which I have learned from a teacher and I've assimilated, I come out of this Mahanidra, which is Jagrad Avastha. What is the effect on Avarna Shakti of Jnanam? That Mahanidra, Mahaswapnas, Avarna Shakti goes away. I understand that it was a great dream only. I understand Jagradavastha as Mithya, and therefore it's a dream only. Therefore, the Avarna Shakti goes away through Jnanam, but the Vikshepa Shakti of that Mahanidra remains. How do I know? Unlike the Vikshepa Shakti of the Alpa Swapna, the individual dream which goes away, the Vikshepa Shakti of the Mahanidra does not go away. How do I know?
Because the world continues.
Yeah, the
Because
world
the
remains.
world
Yeah.
remains. It remains before you. And therefore, the Jnani, one who has attained Atma Jnanam, who has assimilated Atma Jnanam, he continues to experience the world until the death of his physical body because of this Vikshepa Shakti. And this state of being where Avarna Shakti has gone, but Vikshepa Shakti continues. This is called Jivan Mukti. The dream continues even after waking up through knowledge. With the disappearance of the Avarna Shakti, I understand the Jagradavastha as a dream. But living in that dream, what is the difference? I don't consider myself as the created, as the universe, part of the universe. I understand myself as the creator. Thus, that Mahaswapna does not disappear. The Mahaswapna does not vanish. What happens to it? It gets negated. It gets falsified, which in Sanskrit we call Mithyatvam Nishchayaha. Having decided definitely, understood definitely that it is a dependent experience. It is not Satyam. And therefore, I understand that Jagradavastha as Mithya. I continue to experience the Jagradavastha, which is the effect of Vikshepa Shakti, but I no longer look upon it as Satyam, which is the effect of the disappearance of Avarna Shakti. Okay, then the question will come, who decides which swapna I enter? Or who decides when I wake up? And so, the second line of the mantra is Sa eva jivaha, that same jiva, what does he do? Swapiti. He enters the Alpa Swapna. Swapiti is Swapnam Pashyati, sees a dream. So that is Swapiti. So that same jiva, he enters the dream, or Prabuddhaha, he wakes up. So those two are, words have to be taken separately. Sa eva jivaha Swapiti, Sa eva jivaha Prabuddhaha. You should not read Sa eva jivaha Swapati Prabuddhaha. It doesn't make sense for the month. It's a mantra, but when you understand, when you break up the words for understanding, you repeat Sa eva jiva twice. Say Sa eva jiva Swapiti is one sentence. That same jiva enters the Alpa Swapna. Sa eva jivaha Prabuddhaha. That same jiva wakes up from the Alpa Swapna. And what is the reason? Punascha Janmantara Karma Yoga. Because of the yoga here means because of association. The association with what? Janma Antara Karma. So because of the association with the Punya Papam of Janmantaraha, previous births, what happens? I have to come back to a state where I am identified with the body. It's a very nice statement. Because of the effect of the Punya Papam of the previous births, I have no choice but to come out of the Swapna and come to a state where I am identified with the body. Why? Why do I have no choice?
Because the prarabdha should be exhausted. We should
Yes.
experience.
Very good. Because the prarabdha has to be exhausted, right? And for exhaustion of the prarabdha, you can exhaust the prarabdha only through experiences of pleasure and pain. And both those experiences are possible only when there is identification with the body. And therefore, because of the punya papa prarabdha, you will necessarily have to come back to a state where bodily identification is there, which can mean either swapna avastha or it can mean the jagrata avastha also, because in both these avasthas, punya papam can be exhausted. But in sushupti avastha, there is no identification with the body because the mind is not active, and therefore punya papam cannot be exhausted in sushupti avastha. Only in jagrat and swapna avastha can that papam be exhausted. So what does that jiva do? Sa eva jivaha, that very same jiva, what does it do? Swapiti. He comes to swapna prapancha, or prabuddhaha. He comes to jagrat prapanchaha. And then punascha, the whole cycle starts again. When did all this start? We know the answer. The cycle of Srishti or creation is a beginningless cycle. It is a circle. In a circle, the beginning cannot be talked about. But the ending, yes, ending can be done, can be talked about. It ends only through assimilated knowledge. With this, the teacher winds up the discussion on Vyashti, okay, on the micro. In the next line, the teacher shifts. Who's the teacher, incidentally, if we still remember?
Brahmaji.
Brahmaji.
Brahmaji. Not to forget, okay? Brahmaji is the teacher. He shifts from the micro, the Vyashti, to macro, Samashtihi. So he says, Yascha jivaha puratraye kridati. Yaha cha jivaha. That same jiva, which jiva? Who was in Sushupti avastha, puratraye kridati. Puratraye, the three worlds. Kridati, he plays around, he sports around. That same jiva enjoys in the three worlds. How does it do that? Tatastu jatam sakalam vichitram. From that same jiva, tataha, jatam sakalam vichitram. Why tataha, that same jiva? The same jiva who is actually the same jivatma, who is none other than the Paramatma. From that same jivatma, sakalam jatam vichitram. Vichitram means multiple, manifold. Sakalam is everything. Jatam is born. Therefore, sakalam jatam. Vichitram sakalam jatam means the entire manifold, multiple universe is created from that very same jiva. And then what? Then that word you have to carefully break up. Adharam, Anandam, Akhanda, Bodham. So Adharam. The very same jiva, because of whom or from whom the entire universe has been created. What is he? Adharam. He is the supporter of the entire universe. What is that called? Sthitikaram, the maintainer. Vishwadharam, Gagana Sadrasham. Gaganam means space. So like Vishwadharam, Gagana Sadrasham. I am the supporter of the Vishwam, Vishwa Adharam. I am the supporter of the Vishwa, of the entire universe. Gagana Sadrasham. Sadrasham. Sadrasham means like. So Gagana Sadrasham, like space. Gaganam is space. Like Akasha. What am I? I am the all-pervading existence, consciousness principle. All the millions of galaxies which exist in the universe are what? Are like Mahaswapnas, are like various avasthas in me, who is what? The pure consciousness. And not only Sakalam Jatam, not only is everything born from me, Yasmin Layam Cha. I become the dissolution ground of the Puratrayam, of the three worlds. So if you want to understand what this means, try to imagine what we call one of the largest events that we know about, explosion of a supernova. When it explodes for the cosmos, it's a very huge event. All the astronomers, they're very excited when there is a supernova explosion. But for me, that excitement, that supernova explosion is for the Vyavaharika eye, not I, EYE, for the eyesight which belongs to the Vyavaharika Jiva. For him, it's a big event. But for me, who am I? I am that Jiva, Yasmin Layam Cha. I hold this vast fabric of time and space together. And in that vast fabric, what is a supernova explosion? It's not even a faint ripple. So for me, it's nothing. Then why all these adjectives? All these adjectives refer to roles or statuses which are conferred, which are given because of the association with the RM, the Upadi only. If you are a Karanam for something, that status of Karanam is there only because there is a Karyam. Because there is a product, you are the creator. Once the product status is gone, the creator status also does not remain. What remains? Pure Atma. And therefore this is Akhandam Anandam Akhanda Bodham. It is Akhanda Bodham. Bodham is consciousness or awareness. Akhandam means not divisible. So Akhanda Bodham, the indivisible awareness, the indivisible consciousness, which is Nirgunam. Remember, both the creator and the created, they are gunas only. Nirgunam, when you say, it is the OC only. Wherever there is a RM, there is a guna. RC in whatever form, individual form, in samashti form, it's all associated with gunas. But what am I really? When the karyam and the karanam statuses are removed, what am I really? Anandam akhanda bodham. I am the invisible awareness, the invisible nirguna consciousness. And what is the nature of this consciousness? Anandam. So here Anandam has to be understood as Anantam, infinite, complete, Purnaha, which lacks nothing. It is never deficient. It doesn't want anything. It doesn't need anything. It is never inadequate. Therefore, Anandam has to be understood not as bliss, but out of that lack, out of that complete infinite status of mind, I don't lack anything, because infinite means I have everything. That having everything, not being deficient in anything, not wanting anything, that is the Ananta Tattvam, which is now referred to as Ananda. Interestingly, Sureshwaracharya, who is Sureshwaracharya? Anybody knows?
Adi Shankara's main disciple.
One of the main disciples. What was his Purva Ashrama name?
No, Raviji, I don't know.
Anybody else? What was Sureshwaracharya's Purva Ashrama name?
Is it Mandana Mishra?
Mandana Mishra. What is the story of Mandana Mishra?
Oh, that debate.
That debate.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So the debate, Mandana Mishra, remember, was a Purva Mimamsika. He was a dualist. And there was this debate with Shankaracharya, where the Shankaracharya had said that if you beat me, I will become your disciple. And if I beat you, you become my disciple. Right? So the story goes that they wanted a judge who will decide who was defeated. So they chose Mandana Mishra's wife, who was a very wise lady. So she decided, that I won't give a opinion of my own. Let me leave it to nature. So she got two what you call garlands of fresh flowers. The debate began. One garland was put on Shankaracharya's neck, one garland was put on Mandana Mishra's neck. And she said that whichever garland fades first, that person has lost. What is the rationale for that?
Is it because of the body temperature, the one who takes
Yeah.
it personally and heats up and then
Correct. The
Yeah.
one who's losing gets angry, so
Mm.
the body temperature goes up, and therefore the garland will fade. So of course Mandana Mishra's garland faded. Okay, and he took the sannyasa name of Sureshwaracharya, has written a very, very beautiful book called Naishkarmya Siddhi, which we will do sometime in the future, providing this body is still alive and your body is still alive. Somewhere we will do it. It's a very beautiful book. Okay? That Sureshwaracharya, he says somewhere that he gives a comment on the word soham. Okay. He says, if you take the two words soham, so saha is Paramatma with upadhi. Right? Saha means that. That means that Ishvara. That Ishvara means Brahman plus Maya. So Saha refers to Brahman plus Maya, out of which Saha refers to the Upadhi. So he says, if from so you remove Sa, what remains?
Aham.
No, only from so. From so you're removing Sa. What remains? O remains. No? Guys?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes.
sir. Yes, sir.
I mean, I hope that's clear. If that's not clear, we're going to have a serious problem. Okay? If from so is gone, what remains? O remains. Fine. He says that, okay, O remains. And the rest is aham. And he says, in that aham, the ha is the upadhi. The ha refers to what? The individual upadhi, the micro upadhi. So if from aham, the ha goes, what remains? Ma remains. And therefore, O plus ma is the state of soham when the upadhis have gone, and O plus ma is Om, which is Nirguna Brahma. He is explaining that soham is a Mahavakyam, because it shows what is a Mahavakyam? What is the definition of a Mahavakyam? It is any statement which points out to you that Jivatma and Paramatma are not different. So he's explaining, saying that soham is also a Mahavakyam. Okay. So any questions so far? That is the 14th mantra. Now we will chant the.
Om Acharya. So
Yes, please.
the division of Soham, what we did now is the Sa, O, Ha, and Ma. Right?
Saha plus aham.
Okay.
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 Right. Because basically soham is saha aham. Soham is not soham. No, it's the saha. That is sa with a visarga. Saha. Saha is what? That. Aham is what? I. Saha aham means what? I am that. I, the jiva, am none other than Ishvara. That is the meaning of soham.
Yes. Thank you.
Right. Now we will look at the 15th mantra, which we shall chant. Etasmad jayate pranaha.
Etasmāt
एतस्मात् जायते
प्राणः
प्राणः
Manas sarvendriyani cha.
मनः
सर्वेन्द्रियाणि च
Kham vayurjyotirapaha.
खं
वायुर्ज्योतिरापः
Prithvi vishvasya dharini.
Prithvi
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 Vishwasya
Vishwasya
Dharini.
Dharini.
Okay. So, etasmat, from this, from which, from this very same jiva, jayate pranaha, the prana is born, jayate manaha, the mind is born, jayate sarva indriyani, all the sense organs are born, jayate kham, kham is space, akasha, akasha is born, jayate vayuhu, air is born, jayate jyotihi, fire is born, jayate apaha, water is born, and jayate prithvi, the earth is born, dharini vishwasya, which is the supporter of everything. So from this very same jiva, prana, mind, indriya, space, fire, water, and earth are born and supporters of everything. So etasmat is important. From that very same jiva who is none other than the Paramatma, from the very same Jivatma who is the Paramatma, the entire creation is born. What is the idea? That Akarta Nirguna Atma becomes Saguna Paramatma, which is what? Brahman with Maya Upadi. Ishvara it becomes. That same Jiva, Nirguna Brahman, who is Jiva, through the process of creation, he becomes Saguna Brahman. Or Brahmaji he becomes. And what is born? So you have to look carefully. The entire creation is defined very beautifully in this one mantra. What is born? Pranaha, manaha, sarvendriyani. That is one. Okay. Etasma jayate pranaha, manaha, sarvendriyani. He's talking about the jiva. Because there is prana, there is mind, and there is all the sense organs. That is jiva. In the second line, he says, you have to add over. Etasmat jayate, from the same jiva is born, kham vayuhu jyotihi apaha prithvi. He is talking about what? The samashti, the universe as such. So the first line deals with the creation of the vyashti, the micro creation, the jiva. And the second line of the mantra deals with the samashti, the creation of the universe. And all of this are born from Atma, that Atma which has put on the dress. He has dressed up as Paramatma. What is the material of the dress?
Maya.
Maya.
Maya is the material from which the dress is made. Okay, that's a small mantra. It's the base mantra from which the next mantras are born. So mantra number 16, we will chant. Yat param brahma sarvatma.
Yat
Yat
param
param
brahma
Sarvatma.
Vishwasyayatanam mahat.
Vishwasyayatanam
Vishwasyayatanam mahat.
Sukshmat sukshmataram nityam.
Sukshma
Sukshmat
Sukshmat sukshmataram nityam.
Tattvameva tvameva tat.
Tattvameva tvameva tat.
Swatvam eva. You are indeed tad mahat, that big, that infinite, nityam, eternal, param brahma, supreme Brahman. So the words have to be carefully put together. Tvam eva tad mahat nityam param brahma. You are indeed that infinite, eternal, supreme Brahman. And what kind of Brahman are you? Yat sarvatma, which is the essential nature of everything. And Vishwasya ayatanam, which is the abode of the universe itself. And in spite of being that, Sukshmataram Sukshma, you are more subtle than the subtle. So Sukshmam is subtle, Sukshmat is more than subtle, Sukshmataram. The suffix taram indicates a superior a comparative degree, superior degree. Therefore, subtler than the subtle is the meaning of Sukshmataram Sukshmat. And Tad Evatvam, that Brahman is indeed you. So from this mantra, in fact, from 2 mantras back, from the 14th mantra onwards, we have been getting a series of Mahavakyams, right? And it is for these Mahavakyams that if somebody asks you, what is so great about Kaivalyopanishad? This series of Mahavakyams, 14, mantra 14, 15, 16, 17, these are the Mahavakyams which are there. It is for this Mahavakyam, for these Mahavakyams, that the Upanishad is well known. Remember, it is not one of the 10 Upanishads, but because of this peculiarity, because of the beautiful nature of the Mahavakyams, it is often taught by most teachers. So here, Brahmaji is saying that this Jagat Karanam Brahma, Jagat Karanam Paramatma, which is the creator of the universe, Jagat Karanam Paramatma, is none other than Karya Jiva. The word Karanam and Karya are important. Karanam means the cause or the creator. Karyam means the product or the created. So he is saying that the creator Paramatma is the same, is not different from the created Jivatma. And first, in the first part of it, he gives the definition of the Paramatma. So he says, Yat Param Brahma. That Param Brahma, which is what? Brahmaji. That Atma, that Brahman, with Maya Upadhi, also known as Samashti Upadhi. That Brahman with Samashti Upadhi, which is what? Vishwasya Ayatanam. It is the substratum, the residence of the entire universe. The whole universe exists within that Ishvara, and therefore Mahat. The adjective is Mahat, infinite, because the universe includes Akasha also. It includes space also. And normally we are conditioned to think of space as infinite. But here he is saying that it is greater than space also, because the space itself is part of Brahma, is part of Ishvara. And to understand that, we must carefully note that space, we think space is always there. But Vedanta says no. Two things are born first when creation comes into being: space and time. So here space is being talked about. Space is born at the time of creation, and space resolves into Brahman at the time of Pralayam, the destruction of the universe. And therefore Brahman is also the support of Akasha also. Then Yat Sarvatma. Sarva Atma means the entire, the inner essence of the entire creation. And the inner essence of the creation is in two forms. What are they? The inner essence of any object can be said to be in two forms. What is that?
Namarupa.
No.
Mhm.
Sat and Chit.
Sat. Chit.
Should not forget. Okay, Sat and Chit is basically the essence of all creation. When you look outside you at the world, the existence of anything that you see is Sat. When you look at you, your body is Sat, but you are Chit. So Sat and Chit are woven together and cannot be separated at all. That's why we say Sat eva Chit, Chit eva Sat. And this Chit is the consciousness principle in all living beings. And that's why he says Sat Chit Rupena Sarva Atma. That Sarvatma is in the form of Sat and Chit only. And which applies to which you have to see, you have to understand. Not only that, Nityam, it is eternal. That Sarvatma, that Brahman with consciousness, with matter, That Ishvara continues to exist even when all the reflecting media are gone. When the universe resolves, the universe is destroyed, space and time also get resolved. The whole universe is located in space and time, but time and space themselves are located in Brahman. And therefore we say that time and space are all part of duality, are all part of Dvaitam. And this I put this as a Varanam question. What is space? Space is the gap between two or more things or two or more places. What is time? Time is the gap between two or more events. So that definition you have to remember. What is space? It is the difference between two things or two places. What is time? It is the gap between two or more events. The difference between Bombay and Ahmedabad is space. The difference between the First World War and Second World War is time. And therefore, whenever we talk about time and space, we are talking about Dvaitam, duality. Inherent in the definition of time and space is duality. That is why he says Nityam. That Brahman is free from time and space. And that is why we use the expression timeless, beyond time. And not only that, Sukshmataram Sukshmat, subtler than the subtle. Why does he use this? Why does he use this term? Because in Shastra, for example, in Tattva Bodha, we saw how do you judge whether something is subtler than the other?
Perception.
Perception.
Perception is okay.
Comparison.
Indriya Gocharam.
Because
All
the
correct, but you're not getting to the right point.
subtler, the grossest things are incorporate the subtler ones within them in the pancha karanam process.
You are all getting at the end without the intermediate steps. What is the intermediate step? The subtler a thing is, the more difficult it is to comprehend.
Yeah. Yes.
Right?
From
Why do you say that?
like from Akasha to Prithvi. Akasha
agree,
is the
but
subtlest. And
Put that into words. Put that into reasons.
The number of
Apathy?
sense organs that is available to.
Yeah,
Yes.
These sense
So,
organs.
and
that's
grossification.
okay.
Tanmatras to
But
the
the number of
grosser.
sense organs that is available to depends on what? Why do we say that Prithvi is the grossest?
It is available to all the five.
All five
Yeah.
senses.
How do we know?
Shabdas.
It has 5 gunas,
Shabda Sparsha Rupa Rasagandha.
and they are gunas.
Yeah.
Those gunas are grasped by the 5 indriyas. And therefore, the person who said Pancha Indriya Grahyam is correct. But what is grasped is the gunas. And so the Shastra says that the more gunas you have, element has, the more gross it is. The less gunas that you have, the less gross it is. So Prithvi has 5 gunas, so it is the grossest. Jalam has 4 gunas. Agni has 3 gunas. Vayu has 2 gunas. Akasha has 1 guna. So Akasha is the subtlest of these 5, because it cannot be felt, though we say that It cannot be felt even by touch, right? Akasha doesn't have the guna of touch. It has only one property, which is sound. And this Akasha is the most difficult to understand, because when you say sound, does it mean that you can hear sound from Akasha?
Sir, you spoke, I think, in Vedanta Saram about Viyoga and Samyoga, that sound which is created.
Correct. Correct.
Yeah.
Good, you're remembering all that. So Akasha sound cannot be heard unless there is yoga or yoga. Unless there is something which is coming together or something which is going apart. That sound of Akasha is in a very general form. It is manifest to our ears only when there is an instrument or through speech. Okay. And here by saying Sukshmataram Sukshma, Brahmaji is saying that Brahman doesn't even have a single guna. We saw in other Upanishad, Ashabdam, Asparsham, Arupam, Arasam, Gandham. Where did we see?
Mundaka Upanishad.
It is subtler than the subtlest Akasha. It cannot be understood at all. It is incomprehensible. And if something is incomprehensible and cannot be known at all through my sense organs, then the question arises, why should I accept that such a Brahman exists? Right? Now, if I have to say that, why should I accept that such a Brahman exists? The answer is what? What is the answer to the question of why should I accept that Brahman exists?
Shraddha in Veda and Guru Vakya.
Shraddha in the Veda, right? So Upanishad says Brahman exists, so you have to accept its existence. Now the question is, okay, I accept that Brahman exists, but I can never grasp that Brahman with any of my indriyas. So you can reword that question, what is it that exists but can never be a subject of one's indriyas, can never be objectified? So he gives here the answer in the last quarter of the mantra. He says, Tattvam eva. Tattvam eva. That Brahman, Tat. Tvam eva is none other than you. So everything in the world you can observe, excepting the observer consciousness. Even your body-mind complex is observed by you. Remember, the body-mind complex is that which observes the world. And therefore, your observation of the world is through your body-mind complex. The body-mind complex, therefore, serves, two roles, the observed as well as the observing medium. But me, I am neither the observed nor the observing medium. I am the observer consciousness. And that is why we say that consciousness, by my mere presence, I give life to this body. And through this body and the mind, I experience the universe. I am neither the universe, nor the material body, nor the material mind, but I am that consciousness principle, which is not material, which is called Brahman. These mantras are all Mahavakya mantras meant for Nididhyasa. Why? Because in each of these mantras, in fact, in each portion of these mantras, Shruti is revealing Jivatma Paramatma Aikyam. And Jivatma Paramatma Aikyam means Jivatma and Paramatma are not separate entities. Both are one Nirguna Chaitanyam. And this Nirguna Chaitanyam is being seen through different upadhis, different RMs. One is the Vyashti RM, the micro RM. One is the Samashti RM, the macro RM. There is only one OC, the one Nirguna Chaitanya Atma. But there are two RCs. One RC is Veshti because of Nikrishta Upadhi. Nikrishta meaning inferior. So the inferior Upadhi of the body, individual body-mind complex is called Nikrishta Upadhi. And therefore, since the RM is Nikrishta, RM is inferior, the RC also appears weak and inferior. However, when you take the universe as the Upadhi, it is Utkrishta Upadhi, superior Upadhi. And the reflection in that Utkrishta Upadhi makes the RC appear limitless. However, both are distortions. Because, why distortion? Because they're reflections. However good the Upadhi is, however clean your mirror is, however shining your mirror is, it will never give the same impression as the original. And therefore, OC is the original undistorted consciousness. In the individual body, I get distorted consciousness appearing in an inferior appearance. In the Samashti body, in the universe as a body, Utkrishta Upadhi, I get that same OC appearing as superior RC. One is inferior RC, one is superior RC. The Nirguna appearing as Saguna is always a distortion. And therefore, in Nikrishta Upadhi, the Gunas will appear to the Nikrishta. But in Utkrishta Upadhi, the Gunas will appear as Utkrishta. Which means what? The RC in an inferior RM will look like having inferior properties. The RC in a superior RM will look like having superior properties. Why? Simply because there is a difference in the reflecting media. And therefore, the words Parama and Jiva, which we prefix to the word Atma, they are indicative of this difference. Parama indicates Utkrishta Upadhi. Jiva indicates Nikrishta Upadhi. All differences are due to the reflecting medium only. When we look at the Atma without bringing the RMs into the picture, what do we see? We see a Atma from which all gunas have been separated. Nirguna Atma. Because the gunas belong to the Upadhi only. And therefore, from this, Brahmaji is saying, for understanding a Mahavakyam. Understanding a Mahavakyam means what? Understanding Jivatma, Paramatma, Aikyam. What is the exercise? The abhyasa is to mentally remove the RMs. The reflecting media, you have to mentally negate and look at the real Atma, which is neither Jiva nor Parama. By looking at the Atma only, by dropping the superior attributes and the inferior attributes, what are you doing? You are removing part of the whole thing. So this is the implied meaning. Bhaga Tyaga Lakshana. So Jivatma minus the inferior attribute is what? Jivatma minus the individual body mind sense complex is equal to the consciousness without attributes is equal to Nirguna Brahman. Similarly, Paramatma minus the superior attributes minus the universe as a body is equal to consciousness without attributes is equal to Brahman. And therefore, by dropping the RMs, we are arriving at the understanding that Jivatma is Paramatma. You simply have to look beyond the Upadhis. And this is the Aikyam, like the wave ocean example. When you want to understand the real nature of the wave, what do? You drop the name and the form of that small piece which you call wave, and what remains is only water. When you want to understand the real nature of ocean, what do? You drop that infinite body, which is the form. What remains is only water. So Brahmaji is saying that this inferior attributes or superior attributes, they are only incidental attributes belonging to Upadhi. They are not fundamentally belonging to you at all. They are not your real nature. And what is incidental, you should not be bothered about at all. These differences are caused by what? By distortions affected by the R. Right? So there is another question. We said Soham. Soham is short for Saha Aham. What about Hamsa? Hamsa is short form for Aham Saha. You see the difference. Soham Saha Am. That is me. Aham Saha, I am that. So there are two words, Soham, Hamsaha. The question might arise, does this mean that Jivatma is Paramatma, but Paramatma is not Jivatma? Vedanta says such a relationship does not exist. There is no part-whole relationship, but the identity is complete. It is an actual identity, and hence Soham is equal to Hamsa. This pair of two words, which you often chant as a mantra, Soham Hamsa, it indicates this absolutely complete identity. Jivatma is Paramatma and Paramatma is Jiva. And to explain that, to emphasize that, the last two words are added. Tvameva Tat. You alone are that Brahman. What was earlier? Tat Tvam Eva. That is you only. That Brahman is you, the Jiva, is the meaning of Tattvameva. To complete that, he reverses the whole thing and says, Tvameva Tat. You, Jiva, are none other than that Brahman. By putting it in reverse form, that same idea is being reinforced. Brahman is you and you are Brahman. Only when we assimilate both these, you have to assimilate Tattvameva and you have to assimilate Tvameva Tat. When that completely assimilated, when I have completely assimilated both these ideas, then only the Aikyam is complete. Then only the merger, so-called merger, is complete. Then only I am Jnana-nishtha. So with this, I'll stop for today. Any questions we can address?
Om Raviji, for my understanding, so can we say that Saguna Brahman is an Utkrishta Upadhi?
Very much.
That's the way to understand?
Saguna
Yeah.
Brahman is the, when you say Saguna Brahman, you are saying Saguna part refers to Maya.
Right.
Brahman refers to consciousness. And therefore, Saguna Brahman is matter plus consciousness. That matter, since it is Maya, is Utkrishta Upadhi, superior Upadhi.
Thank you. Sir, Hamsa breaks up into what words in Sanskrit?
Aham Saha. I am that.
Okay.
Om Raviji, I don't have a question. I just wanted to share a thought.
Yeah.
The Bible apparently says that God created man in his own image.
Yeah.
And I feel the interpretation was wrong, where we projected our image of this body, mind, sense onto God and said
Yes.
God is that with those limitations, instead of taking it the other way.
Yeah. See, most, people want the God to be in the same form as they are, so that you can relate more easily. And therefore, you'll find a lot of gods as males and females. Of course, in our tradition, we have, half half male, half female, animal heads. Slight deviation, but it is there.
Yeah, this tattva, this last two parts, Tvameva Tat and Tattvameva. I was just thinking of
Yeah,
that.
that is because that is to indicate that you are really formless. Whatever form is there, that is you only. Because
Yeah.
whatever form is there is born out of Maya only. And therefore, there is no form limitation on Brahman. See, that question of form limitation is important when it comes to duality. One form can never be another form, right? A table cannot be a chair. A tree cannot be a river. So that when something is all of them, then that limitation of form is gone. So we have three types of limitations actually: space limitation, time limitation, and form limitation. So vastu bhedaha, kala bhedaha. Both these things are all there.
Hmm.
There is nothing new. Okay, as you can see in this Upanishad, nothing new is being said. But it's all being presented. In fact, if you see, it's all being presented as I. In fact, the next few verses will suddenly jump into I. From Atma and Brahman, you will find that Lord Brahmaji goes to saying me. I am so and so. I am so and so. It might sound like beating the chest and saying, I am the greatest. But it's a fact. You are the greatest. Not you with the Upadi. You without the Upadi are always the greatest.
Yeah, in Bhagavad Gita also, Krishna also shifts to Aham.
Correct. That's the indication that it's time to drop Atma Brahman as separate and say me, I am. Very beautiful little Upanishad for Nididhyasana. For your Nididhyasanam, you should take up one verse every day and think about it. Okay, so with this, we'll stop for today. Om Punamadav Punamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Tat Sat, Om Namah Shivaya. Thank you for your presence.
Thank you, Acharya.